Welcome back to the MICK Show. Man, this is exciting, man. We have a special guest this week. Very excited to have her on the show. Maggie Lindemann, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for finding time out of your busy schedule to be on our show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
I hope this is the easiest interview you've had to do during this entire year of chill. But it wasn't a year of chill for you, huh? You had a lot going on in this year where everybody else took the year off.
Yes, I had a lot going on. It was funny because like the beginning of everything, I was like, oh, I'm chilling. We're going to get back to normal in like a week. This is great. It's like a break. And now we're like a year into it and it's crazy.
But it's soon to end because vaccines and people also just don't give a fuck anymore. I see these pictures of parties in like Atlanta and Miami, and I'm just
my God, yeah.
There's no COVID down there.
No, not at all.
It does not exist at all. Cool. So I think it's really interesting. So you were born and raised in Dallas.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm curious how that impacted what you like musically. What's the first recorded song you remember hearing that you loved?
I mean, obviously I watched like Disney Channel when I was little. So like Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus, the Jonas Brothers. But then when I actually started to like develop my own taste for things, my parents were like really big rock fans. So pretty early on, I was introduced to like Metallica and Disturbed. My mom loved No Doubt and Evanescence. From like a very early age, I was introduced to that. I love Gwen, and then like Lady Gaga, Britney Spears. And then as I started getting older, developing love for Sleeping with Sirens and Melanie Martinez and Lana Del Rey and like Bring Me the Horizon. And yeah, a lot of music in my family.
Is there a song that you remember hearing as a kid where you thought maybe I could do that or I want to do that?
It's funny because it's so random, but I remember watching the Katy Perry movie in theaters with my family and being so inspired by it and just wanting to do that. And just like, I don't know, just feeling so overwhelmed and like inspired by it. And I think that started like the real drive for it. Cause after that's when I started like posting videos of me singing and like trying to do that.
What's the first thing you recall like spending either your own money on or really just like I assume you probably haven't streamed your whole life as far as me. Do you have any recollection of like going on iTunes and plunking down your own money to buy an album?
I remember I bought like 303. Like I bought their album. I bought like Lady Gaga's like first album. It feels like it's so long ago.
Well, I asked that because it's interesting because we're at the tail end of the spectrum now of people who are ever going to have to do that ever again in life. And we're all the beneficiaries of both sides of it, where like now you get access to everything all the time, 24/7. It's phenomenal. It enables people to be inspired and learn everything all the time. But I do think there's like a random thing that happens as a kid where you, for example, the things you just described, and I remember those things happen for me too, where like you actually have to go and like earn that $10, $15, $20 and go plunk it down, and you're not getting it back. It's not a $14 monthly subscription. It is what it is, and so like you're committing to that.
Yeah,
so that's really interesting that those are the ones you chose. You still listen to those?
Oh yeah, all the time. I still love 303. I'm so glad they're making their comeback, but most of the music that I listened to as a kid, like I still do listen to a lot. And like, I feel like those just influenced me a lot. And like Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, like I remember buying that too. It's like, I just was so obsessed with Gwen. And like, even to this day, she's like one of my biggest influences.
So when you moved to LA, was that was strictly to fulfill your career? Or did you just feel like you outgrew what you could have done in Dallas?
I always wanted to live in California. I think any kid that's like not from California looks at California like this amazing, magical place. So I always wanted to move here, but my parents just were like, dude, there's no way. But then when my manager found me from a singing video and like asked me to come out and then basically told me he like wanted to sign me and just start this music journey with me, that's when my parents were like, okay, cool. Like you can do this. We're going to move you out there. Like you need to make money. You need to hustle. So I was like working so much when I was 16 to just like pay for rent and like do everything. But I moved out here for music.
Take me to the process of creating this album, of creating Paranoia. What was it like creating your first actual like complete body of work musically, right? So like how did that affect your mindset going in versus like dropping a single or dropping a song on like social media or just hopping on a remix or two or something like that? Like you're creating something that has a finite beginning and an end. And I assume just based on like, you know, what I know about your music and what I read and just like how you approach music seriously, that this is not just a collection of songs slapped together as a playlist. This is a cohesive body of work from beginning to end. Take me through your mindset with that.
I feel like I've just been doing singles for so long and I've been making music for a while now. And I just had a very specific goal in mind and a very specific sound that I wanted to do. And it just didn't feel like a single vibe anymore. Like I knew I wanted to create a body of work and I knew I wanted to make like a pop punk alternative EP. So I think just going in, just even from like the very first song we made, trying to create this sound by like using these old sounds that give you like this nostalgic feel, but also trying to bring in sounds that are more like modern and just creating that sound even with the first song and then just continuing on with that. It was always very, very clear to me that I wanted to make a bigger body of work and not just a single.
Have you had a chance to perform any of it, even like, you know, virtually or anything yet?
I'll be performing on the 9th, April 9th and the 10th. So that will be my first performance and I'm so excited.
Nice. And what's the name of the show?
It's just going to be the Paranoia live stream, like Paranoia live stream. It's just to perform Paranoia.
Nice. And that's going to be amazing for your fans to hear that like for the first time. Have you had any amazing people reach out to you based on your music that you never thought would even hear your music and you were just like, I can't believe this person likes my shit?
Yeah, there's been a few ones that are like really crazy. I think the craziest one just for me personally was Kellen Quinn because I am like such a big Sleeping with Sirens fan. I grew up listening to Sleeping with Sirens and like I've always said that I will never fangirl over anyone except for like Sleeping with Sirens and Lana Del Rey. For him to like acknowledge me and my art was just so insane for me.
Let's talk about creativity for a second. A lot of the people we've had on this show, we've had like everybody from like legendary Rock Hall nominated like rappers to billionaire CEOs and everyone in between. I think creativity is a feature that we all have, that even if you're told you're not creative or even if you don't think you're creative, I think we all strive to achieve that in our own individual ways. It's always annoyed the shit out of me that people are told you're not creative in general. Like depends on what it is you do in life. At what point did you realize that your creativity was perhaps stronger than the next person's or more pronounced? And the other thing I would ask as a follow-up to that is, what advice would you give to somebody who's 13, 14, 15, 16 right now who was trying to like, you know, showcase theirs?
I honestly don't think that I'm like any better than anyone else, or I don't think like I have a greater ability than anyone else. I truly just manifested everything in my life. Like I truly do believe in like manifestation and positive, you know, like if you're positive, like you will receive that same energy. And I don't know, my whole life, like I've just told myself that this is what I want to do and this is who I want to be. And like, I do want to be a successful musician and I want to live in LA. Like ever since I was little, I was like, I will live in LA one day. And I think just trying to remain positive and like continue to work hard and do everything I can to achieve those goals is what got me to this point. I truly don't think like I'm better than anyone else. I just think it's all about just like your energy and like how you move forward with things. To anyone that's like young and wants to do this, I think it's just that like keep remaining positive and do the things that you need to do to get to that place. Like if you're like, oh, I don't like to wake up in the morning, but you know that if you wake up that morning, it's going to be positive for your day, like do it. And obviously don't do things like don't let anyone persuade you to do something you don't want to do, or don't let anyone tell you like you're not good enough or anything. Just remain positive and believe in yourself. I think that's like the main thing. It's just like always believe in yourself, because in this industry, you truly only have yourself.
That is very true. That's like, we should just bold that and put exclamation points and everything around it, because that's super, super true. When you have a creative block, how do you fight through it?
Oof. That's like the worst for me. I get in these like funks. Like some days I'll go into the studio and I can just right away. It's like nothing standing in my way. But then some days I'll go in and I'll be like tired, or I just feel like not into it, and like my mind is just all over the place. And for me, like weird things will help me get over it. Like just listening to music, or even if I'm just like, I'll like talk to myself a lot and like talk myself through things. I'll basically like interview myself. And for some reason that really helps me like get through stuff that is like clouding my mind, just like talk through it even with myself. Also surrounding yourself with other creative people always helps me, because when I see other people being creative and like creating amazing things, it inspires me to like want to do better.
When you're in creating mode, when you're in, like, I guess I would say album mode because you just put it out, or even just creating like some of the bigger singles that you've created, do you find yourself not listening to certain things because you don't want to be influenced by them or inspired by them so you can stay on your own path? What is your process with that?
I feel like I get super influenced by people and other things I'm hearing. So when I listen to like top 40 things, I'm like, oh God, like this is what people are listening to. Like I need to sound like this. And I think that just overall just messes with my mental state, because I start doubting myself and being like, dude, this is just like, no one's going to listen to you.
You need to make like a TikTok Maggie challenge, like a little dance for all like the Midwestern housewives. Just,
yeah, no way. No way.
That's really what I wanted. That was the whole point of this interview. I was really hoping you were going to just create that right on the spot for us, man.
Those TikTok dances, I'm like, oh my God, I have no rhythm at all. So I'm just out of
You have no rhythm at all as a musician?
Well, okay, it's weird because like making music, yes. But like dancing, like if you asked me to like go and like do a choreographed dance routine, it would look disgusting. Like it would look terrible.
That's so funny because I can't dance at all. And by trade, I'm a DJ. And I've been DJing since I was 16. And so, I mean, we're talking high school dances, college, dorm parties. But like to this day, if I had to dance, like I would not be able to do it. I can do this little like, bob and weave thing in my booth and people only see like the top half of me. But if I had to actually move my fucking legs, and I'm not unathletic. Like my legs work in like a sport capacity, but like there's something that my upper body and my lower body does not talk to itself at all. How did the clothing line start? By the way, did you like that transition? I just pulled that out of nowhere.
I've always wanted to make clothes, and obviously as a musician you need to have merch. I didn't have merch for a really long time, and I didn't really want merch because I feel like a lot of the times like merch can be kind of corny, and I didn't want to put stuff out that was just like my face blasted everywhere. So I just had this idea to come out with a clothing line that's like me and has like some of my lyrics on it, but anyone can wear it. Like you don't have to know who I am and you don't have to be a fan. You can just like the clothing line and you can wear it. And I love Zoomies. I've shopped at Zoomies since I was like, I don't know, elementary school, middle school. I started going to Zoomies. Like it was just that cool brand that was at the mall. So when they wanted to be a part of it and like help and make it like a collaborative thing, it was just insane. And I was just super down. And yeah, I've always wanted to make a clothing line though. So
what about the film Machine Gun Kelly?
So that, it was funny because like my friend that was also in the movie, she was like, yo, we're going tomorrow morning at 6 or something. And I was like, wait, what are we talking about? And then like, oh, the movie, like we're shooting this movie. And I'm like, dude, what? And then that's when I get a text and he's like, oh yeah, like, hey, you're scheduled to be here like tomorrow, like come be in this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm down. And so I literally found out about it and I was like, wait, what's going on? Like what movie? I'm like, oh, you'll just find out when you get here. Like it's just this movie. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm so down, but I've never been in a movie. Like I've never acted before. Like I don't know what I'm doing. But it was just really cool because they're all really talented. And like, I don't know, it's just cool that they trusted me to be in it.
Do you find in a situation like that, where that was like technically new territory, that the creativity that's built in your DNA, as well as like the stage presence that's obviously happened over the last several years of, perfecting your craft, just kind of like carried you in that moment?
It's funny because like I'm not an actress. Like I do want to get into acting, but I definitely need more lessons. But the funny thing is, I was less nervous about my acting abilities. I was just more nervous about like being confident in myself and like not looking awkward, especially with my scenes. Like I had to like, you know, push this guy against a wall and like I was so nervous I was going to be awkward. But it was funny. I just wasn't at all. And I think that has to do with just like, I just had to like turn it on.
I actually grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. So I remember MGK when he was starting out, when he would just like have like his music on mixtapes and just, you know, show up to the club with like burned CDs or whatever, probably, and just try to get us to play it. And I don't think any of us really saw what was coming with that. And it's been really cool to see that, you know, his thing was, I wish I probably should have paid more attention to those demos then. I think everybody has those type of stories though.
Yeah, his evolution is insane, and it's really cool also coming from like someone who started out differently. He started out making rap music and now I worded that so weird. He started out rapping. There we go. And now he makes rock music, and like, you know, I started out making pop music and now I'm trying to make alternative like rock music. And so it's just really inspiring to see someone like having success in that and, you know, having a #1 album and a completely different genre of music. I don't know. I think that's like really inspiring.
I think people come to their true center though, as they continue to really like evolve and grow, and you ultimately net out making exactly what it is that you're supposed to make.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here, I want to ask you a question. I love as a DJ, like remix culture, something that's been a huge part of my career as a DJ. I always try to play remixes that either people don't have, or at least an edit of a remix that people don't have. You always find unique ways to put twists on songs. Yeah. And when I look at your songs, it's so interesting how the Cheat Codes remix of Pretty Girl is like 74 zillion billion trillion plays at this point. It's like incredible. But what I wanted to ask you as an artist, how do you feel artistically when the version of the song you made is not the version that reached the apex? Other people hear it as something that they click on that they like, but to you, it's a tangible, living, breathing thing. So when you hear the version of that did, you know, 10x, 20x in streams, do you still feel the same sort of like ownership in that song, like creatively, emotionally, mentally, spiritually?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the lyrics are still, you know, that's still stuff that was seriously resonating with me. And so I still do feel that attachment. It doesn't feel fully mine though. Like it does feel like mine and Chico's and Cade's song. It feels like our song. And I think it's like just as much their song as it is mine. I think it's cool too, because I don't necessarily listen to a lot of music like that. So it was just super interesting to like see it kind of blow up in like the dance world. It was just like really, really cool. And it just gave me kind of like a new sense of like, I don't know, I just like it more now. Like I got more into it, just like being in it. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like an attachment with that song. Like, even though I do have like a love-hate with it, like it is like my baby, and it is what helped me out a lot. And it's what really got me into what I'm able to do now. So yeah, I mean, I still appreciate it just as much.
That's cool. But then all those people can go listen to like Paranoia and hear like, you know, your true core, your true essence, and just follow you along on the journey with it, right? So
exactly.
Last question. Who's your favorite rapper of all time?
My favorite rapper of all time?
Throwing you a real.
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Perfect answer. That's a great answer. All right. You passed. You passed the test. That's acceptable. We can air this.
I love Kendrick.
Maggie, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate you finding time. Congrats on the new album, the upcoming shows. I hope you make it into this new post-pandemic world, healthy, strong, much more success to you. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
That was it for another episode of The MICK Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please rate and subscribe to The MICK Show wherever you like to listen. And make sure to follow on IG at MICK and Twitter at @IamMick. Let me know who you want to hear on a future episode, and we'll see you back here next week. The MICK Show is presented in partnership with MAXIM. The show is produced by Lantigua Williams & Co. Jen Chien is our editor. Cedric Wilson is our producer and mixed this episode. Manuela Bedoya is our social media editor.